You are a young woman, scarcely beyond your teenage years, your body trembling uncontrollably as it presses against the unforgiving chill of the earthen floor within a yurt reeking of damp horsehide, sour sweat, and the faint residue of fear. It is the year 1020 AD, amid the desolate plains of the Shisia kingdom, where the night pulses with unrelenting dread. The atmosphere weighs heavily upon your lungs, saturated with the pungent smoke rising from a ravaged Tangut village, perhaps your own beyond the thin canvas barriers. Your wrists throb with agony, ensnared by rough cords that gnaw into your flesh like relentless fangs, while your heartbeat echoes thunderously, certain to betray your presence to the shadowed figures lurking outside. The ground quakes beneath the pounding hooves of mounted warriors, and the raw, guttural cries of Mongol victors slice through the darkness, harsh, exultant, and perilously near. You cannot discern if it was your settlement they torched, or another nearby, yet the piercing shrieks from earlier linger in your mind, abrupt and searing like the lash of a scourge. A foreboding shadow stirs at the yurt's entrance, a broad and immovable outline, compelling you to recoil as the flap is abruptly flung aside. The intruder is no ordinary soldier. His gaze, unyielding as sharpened flint, sweeps the dim interior. Though you have never laid eyes upon him, his identity is unmistakable to all who dwell in these lands. Genghis Khan, the indomitable conqueror, whose very name evokes whispers of terror from the vast steppes to the fortified cities of the Jin dynasty. He utters no words, yet his aura engulfs the space like an impending tempest. And in that moment, a nauseating realization dawns: you are no random captive, but a deliberate acquisition, a trophy of conquest, and the burden of this fate crushes you more profoundly than any physical restraint. Before we delve deeper into these obscured narratives of endurance and anguish, if you find value in uncovering the concealed realities of the past, I invite you to express your appreciation by engaging with the like button and subscribing to ensure you receive further explorations of this nature. Additionally, I encourage you to share in the comments the location from which you are engaging with this content. It is truly remarkable how we converge from diverse corners of the globe, united across eras and distances by our collective fascination with history's enigmas. The night extends interminably, the encampment a symphony of discord, clattering metal, sputtering flames, and the subdued laments of the vanquished. You are not isolated in this confinement. Other women cluster nearby, their countenances marred by grime and stark terror, their glances flitting like those of ensnared creatures. Some hail from your own community, while others originate from distant realms you may never comprehend. To the Mongols, your individual identities and histories hold no significance. You represent mere commodities, instruments to fortify their dominion or appease the desires of their combatants. Genghis Khan, born Temujin in 1162 AD, along the banks of the Onon River, pauses immobile for an instant, his cloak trimmed with fur capturing the subdued radiance of a solitary oil lamp. His visage bears the marks of relentless exposure, his jaw resolute, yet a subtle glint in his eyes suggests deliberation, or perhaps an insatiable ambition extending beyond martial triumphs. He refrains from immediate contact, instead signaling to a formidable sentinel scarred from temple to jaw, issuing a command in an unfamiliar dialect. The guard complies, hauling another woman upright. Her stifled outcry is swiftly engulfed by the external clamor. An impulse surges within you to resist, to unleash a cry of defiance, yet your form remains paralyzed, ensnared by the overwhelming dread of the impending ordeal. This account transcends mere chronicles of warfare and dominion, though such exploits are the ones historiography favors. The Mongol Empire, forged under Genghis Khan from 1206 until his demise in 1227 AD, encompassed territories from the Pacific shores to the Caspian Sea, a colossal expanse erected upon the valor of horsemen and the tribulations of the subjugated. Yet, concealed beneath the legends of sweeping cavalry assaults and incinerated metropolises resides a more somber verity, seldom articulated in the annals: the deliberate exploitation of women as mechanisms of conflict, authority, and gratification. The Secret History of the Mongols, a 13th-century manuscript and one of the scarce contemporaneous Mongol documents, glosses over these particulars. However, Persian and Chinese testimonies, penned by observers of the Mongol onslaught, allude to its magnitude. Women akin to you, seized from settlements in Shisia, Khwarezm, or the Jin territories, were not simply victims of circumstance, but pivotal elements in Genghis Khan's overarching strategy. To grasp this dimension, one must revisit the architect himself and the unforgiving milieu that molded him. Temujin's formative years were steeped in adversity. As the offspring of Yesugei, a lesser chieftain, and Khulan, a woman forcibly taken from the Merkit tribe, he entered the world in 1162 AD. By 1171 AD, at the tender age of 9, his father succumbed to poison administered by adversaries, prompting his clan to forsake his family to the steppe's merciless grip. Khulan nurtured her progeny amid destitution, imparting lessons in subsistence through foraging roots and hunting meager prey, all while evading foes who perceived them as perils. Temujin's spouse, Börte, was abducted by the Merkit in 1181 AD, a profound injury that indelibly scarred him. With the aid of confederates such as Jamuka and Togrul, he reclaimed her, though she returned with child. The infant, Jochi, born in 1182 AD, was embraced as Temujin's, despite persistent murmurs of uncertainty. This visceral episode profoundly influenced the individual destined to become Genghis Khan. The steppes constituted a realm where authority was precarious, allegiance rare, and women frequently served as bargaining chips in pacts or reprisals. Temujin internalized early that dominion equated survival. By 1206, following protracted and savage campaigns, Temujin consolidated the Mongol clans and assumed the mantle of Genghis Khan, signifying universal ruler. His realm was not solely a martial apparatus, but a framework of governance, with women integral to its machinery. The Mongols, nomadic and utilitarian, employed matrimony and concubinage to cement affiliations and guarantee fidelity. Genghis maintained 4 primary consorts, Börte, Khulan, Yesui, and Yesugan, each presiding over an ordo, a nomadic encampment. Historians such as Bazanjov Turbish, in his 2023 publication Sex in the Land of Genghis Khan, posit that Genghis's harem encompassed approximately 500 women, albeit only 44 were formally documented as spouses or concubines. These individuals were frequently the progeny of vanquished sovereigns, such as Chaka of the Tangut or the Jin Emperor's offspring, proffered as homage to avert further carnage. Each evening, Genghis traversed various abodes, his itinerary safeguarded by the Keshig, an elite cadre of 10,000 warriors tasked with his protection and surveillance. The harem transcended personal indulgence. It functioned as a diplomatic entity, integrating subdued populations into the Mongol fabric. Envision the gravity of such an existence. You are now among those ensnared, extracted from your abode during a raid on Wuluhai in 1207 AD, where the city's ostensibly impregnable fortifications yielded to Mongol catapults. Your once elegant silk garment is rent at the edges, permitting the frigid drafts to infiltrate, numbing your extremities. The yurt exudes the odor of moist wool and smoldering herbs, a subtle aroma overshadowed by pervasive trepidation. Beyond, the encampment teems with activity, equines neighing, combatants guffawing, the resonant clang of forged weaponry. You overhear the murmurs of fellow captives, their tones fraught with urgency. Some contemplate flight, yet the steppes are boundless and the Mongols unyielding. Others advocate adaptation, mastering the art of appeasement to secure a niche in this alien domain. In the wavering illumination, their visages emerge a adolescent scarcely 16, her gaze vacant, an elder with hardened palms, intoning invocations in an alien vernacular. Diverse in origin, they are unified by destiny. The Mongol hierarchy was merciless yet methodical. Women categorized as principal spouses, concubines, or bondsmaids. Principal consorts like Börte possessed stature, overseeing domains and proffering counsel on clan affairs. Concubines, typically noble captives, resided in comparative opulence but devoid of autonomy. Bondsmaids, potentially your station, endured the harshest plights, menial toil, carnal subjugation, or barter in the vibrant Silk Road bazaars. The 13th century Persian scribe Juvayni, in Mongol employ, depicted women exchanged akin to beasts, their merit quantified in steeds or precious metals. Some were compelled to attend to troops, their forms utilized for solace post-conflict, as elucidated in a 2025 vocal media exposition. Others, adjudged alluring or exotic, were consigned to Genghis's harem, a gilded confinement where existence hinged upon the Khan's caprice. Disgrace could precipitate degradation, banishment, or demise. Authority dynamics were unequivocal. Figures like Genghis wielded unassailable dominion, yet women exerted subtle sway. Börte, his initial consort, served as a confidant. Her insights solicited even in martial deliberations. Mongol females, as Turbish observes, participated actively in communal affairs, overseeing commerce, maneuvering caravans, occasionally engaging in combat. Nonetheless, this liberty eluded captives. You sense it acutely now, the scrutiny's burden, the implicit mandate to comply, to endure. The sentinel reappears, his footfalls grinding the soil, designating you. Your innards convulse, yet you rise, limbs quivering. The others avert their regard, their reticence more resonant than any wail. Genghis's intimate pursuits were not mere excesses but tactical maneuvers. By claiming women from myriad clans, he disseminated his lineage throughout his realm, a hereditary imprint corroborated by contemporary genetics. A 2003 inquiry in the American Journal of Human Genetics revealed that 8% of males in the erstwhile Mongol domain, approximately 16 million, presently bear a Y chromosome indicator plausibly linked to Genghis and his progeny. He sired multitudes, perchance thousands, though only 9 offspring with Börte are chronicled: 4 sons Jochi, Chagatai, Ogadai, and Tolui, and 5 daughters. The remainder, issue of concubines and bondsmaids, often evaded notation, their matriarchs consigned to obscurity. As you are escorted from the Yurt, you ponder whether any progeny of yours might become such an ephemeral spectre within the empire's expansive genealogy. The encampment unfolds before you, a labyrinth of yurts beneath a firmament laden with constellations. The breeze is keen, infused with the aroma of seared lamb and the subtle metallic essence of bloodshed. Warriors navigate the gloom, their merriment coarse, their complexions ruddy from kumis, the effervescent mare's milk imbibed copiously in triumph. You are conducted to a more grandiose yurt, its portal guarded by sentinels whose lances shimmer ominously. Within, the ambiance is temperate, dense with incense and pelts. Genghis occupies a modest seat, palms upon his thighs, scrutinizing a parchment chart with frayed borders. You observe the furrows etched upon his countenance, the silver threading his plait indications of a lifetime astride, waging war, subduing, persevering. He articulates, his timbre subdued, nearly tender, yet underpinned by implacability, akin to bedrock beneath yielding soil. The lexicon eludes you, but the purport is unequivocal. This admits no discourse. The Mongols' conduct toward women was not confined to Genghis. His heirs, such as Ogadai, who governed from 1229 to 1241 AD, perpetuated these customs. The Persian chronicler Rashid al-Din, composing in the early 14th century, recounts Ogadai's retribution against the Oirat in 1237 AD, for 000 maidens violated in their kin's presence prior to enslavement. Such savagery conveyed a directive, reaffirming Mongol supremacy. Yet, as Turbish contends, Mongol culture was not wholly barbaric. Infidelity, initially met with execution to avert discord, subsequently incurred penalties. Unwed females and widows encountered minimal censure, their liberties contrasting sharply with the stringent Confucian edicts of Song China, where foot-binding imposed vulnerability. Mongol women, when unenslaved, embodied resilience and utility, essential to nomadic existence. For you, a captive, such empowerment remains an illusion. Time merges into a continuum. As you acclimate to the encampment's cadence, the pre-dawn stirrings of combatants readying for incursions, the groaning wagons as the ordo traverses the steppes, the furtive exchanges among women in obscurity. You discern Genghis's dispositions, the softening of his gaze when referencing Börte, the stealing at tidings of insurgency. You enter your sorrow for the existence forfeited. Certain women acclimate swiftly, their utterances gaining audacity, their stares keener. A Khwarezmian named Aisha confides one evening of rumors concerning Genghis and his erstwhile ally Jamukha, who once shared a fraternal bond in youth, only for it to culminate in betrayal and execution. The anecdote serves as caution. Fidelity is ephemeral, and even titans may succumb. By 1215 AD, Genghis's forces had plundered Zhongdu, the Jin capital, redirecting toward the Khwarezmian Empire. The 1,000 219 incursion into Otrar ensued as a cataclysm following the governor Inalchuk's execution of Genghis's emissaries. The Mongols obliterated the city, eviscerating inhabitants in pursuit of concealed treasures, as narrated in a 2025 Sky History feature. Women akin to you were captured en masse, some destined for the harem, others for mercantile exchange. The commerce in female captives, as vocal media elucidates, underpinned the Mongol economy, profiting from human woe. You witness it in the influx of new detainees, their expressions echoing your initial horror. The cycle perpetuates, inexorable as the steppe gales. Yet, amid the ordeal, glimmers of compassion emerge. One twilight, as the encampment nestles near the Helen Mountains, a native Mongol woman, not a captive, presents you with a vessel of heated mare's milk. Her palms are calloused, her features etched by time, yet her act conveys benevolence. She imparts no verbal solace, but her proximity evokes a fragile link to gentleness unmarred by conquest. You ascertain her identity as Khulan, a secondary consort, and she imparts rudimentary Mongol phrases, her demeanor steadfast. Such instances are infrequent, yet they fortify your resolve against utter fracture. As the years advance, Genghis ages, his expeditions intensifying. By 1227 AD, he besieges Nixia anew, resolute in quelling uprising. Murmurs circulate of his frailty, stemming from an equestrian mishap the prior year. On the 18th of August, 1227 AD, he expires in his bivouac near Yinchuan, his remains covertly repatriated to Mongolia. Narratives akin to Marco Polo's assert that 2,000 thralls were slain to conceal his sepulchre. You are absent from that event, lingering within the ordo under a progeny's vigilance. The harem persists, albeit transformed. Without the Khan, the women drift, some overlooked, others bartered to novel overlords. You contemplate whether reunion with your homeland is feasible, or if the steppes shall eternally ensnare you. The enduring imprint of Genghis Khan's intimate customs transcends the progeny he engendered, or the women he appropriated. It resides in the voids of the chronicles, the narratives omitted. The secret history of the Mongols extols his victories while eliding the human toll. Persian and Chinese origins, such as those of Juvayni and Rashid al-Din, furnish fragments of veracity, yet filtered through partisan perspectives. Presently, the resonances of that affliction persist not in tomes, but in the genetic heritage of multitudes, in the tales of women whose identities evanesced. You, the woman in the yurt, embody one such thread in the immense weave of an empire erected upon sanguine ambition. As the embers dim and the encampment subsides into stillness, you recline solitary, the bindings long discarded, yet their phantom pressure endures upon your wrists. The celestial bodies overhead are austere, impassive, and the steppes extend boundlessly. You reflect upon that inaugural eve, the dread, the silhouette at the threshold. You have persevered, but at what profound expense? The sovereign who seized you has departed, his realm fragmenting, yet the wounds inflicted upon you and innumerable others persist. They remain unvoiced, unscribed, yet indelible incised in the nocturnal hush, in the gales that convey the lamentations of the obscured across the perpetual steppe.